Welcome to the Nourish to Thrive podcast, faith-forward, science-backed strategies for women who want more energy, less weight, and real answers. I'm your host, Tanya Pennington-Miller, a functional nutritional therapy practitioner and functional blood chemistry specialist with a master's degree in applied clinical nutrition. If you're tired of feeling dismissed by your doctor, confused by your labs, and stuck in survival mode, you're in the right place. Here, we simplify the science. We get to the root, and we anchor it all in truth, because God made your body to heal and thrive, not just survive. It just needs the right kind of support and less noise. Hello, my friend. Welcome into the Nourish to Thrive podcast. I am so glad you're back with me today. I want to start with a conversation I had recently with one of my lab testing clients. It was time for her annual retest, and when her results came in, I noticed that her thyroid hormone markers were not improving. And this definitely gave some clarity to what she had been experiencing in terms of symptoms, the stubborn weight that wouldn't budge no matter how well she ate, the low energy, the frustration of doing everything right, but still not feeling better. And so once I gave her her updated supplement protocol and lifestyle interventions, she messaged me asking if she could add more thyroid supplements. Because in her mind, naturally, if the labs weren't improving, her thyroid must be the problem. I mean, who wouldn't think that? But that's really not the full story here, because when you look deeper, it's clear that her thyroid isn't the issue at all. Her thyroid is actually the victim. The real disruption was coming from somewhere else. It was coming from her stress response, her nervous system, and her adrenals. Okay, and she is not alone in this. So many women, and specifically so many women that I work with, are told that their thyroid is sluggish or lazy or, just slowing down with age. But the truth is far more hopeful than that. Most of the time, your thyroid isn't failing. It's actually responding. It's compensating. It's really obeying a signal that's coming from another system in the body. And until we talk about that signal, you can throw every supplement, every diet, every prescription at your thyroid and still not feel better. So today we are reframing the entire thyroid conversation. And I think what you're going to hear is going to bring you some clarity, some confidence, and a lot of peace. Now, most women who end up in my practice have heard the same lines over and over. Your labs are normal. This is just a part of aging. We'll keep an eye on it. Try eating less and moving more. And with every comment, their symptoms are just minimized a little bit more. Their intuition is dismissed just a little more. Their frustration grows just a little more, because here's what they're actually living with. Exhaustion that doesn't budge no matter how early they go to bed, cold hands and feet, hair thinning, slower digestion or constipation, brain fog that makes them feel very much unlike themselves, stubborn weight that simply won't move, cycles that are getting heavier or lighter or just completely unpredictable, and that puffy, inflamed feeling that just never quite goes away. And when they bring all of this to their provider hoping for answers, they're often told that everything looks fine, that the thyroid is normal, that everything is within range. Or on the other end of the spectrum, their TSH is maybe a little bit off and they're handed a prescription for Synthroid, which is T4. As if that one medication is going to fix months or years of symptoms. Either way, women walk out of the appointment so confused because their lived experience doesn't match the plan they were given. They are still exhausted. They are still inflamed. They are still gaining weight or just unable to get the scale to move in the right direction. And even if they start the medication, so many women still don't feel like themselves. So, they're just really left wondering, if my thyroid is the issue, then why isn't this medication working? Why do I still feel this way? And I don't think I even mentioned my client who I'm talking to you about was put on thyroid medication. and her labs still weren't improving. So that question leaves women discouraged and really questioning their own bodies because their experience doesn't match their labs. Their symptoms don't match the reassurance that they're being given. And something inside of them knows something is off. And here's the truth I want you to hear clearly. Your thyroid almost never shuts down first. It slows down as a result of something else. The thyroid doesn't lead. It responds. It responds to stress, to inflammation, to undereating and overexercising, to blood sugar instability, to chronic urgency and lack of recovery. It responds to a nervous system that hasn't felt safe in a very long time. When the environment becomes overwhelmed, the thyroid does exactly what God designed it to do. It protects you. It conserves energy. It slows things down so that you can survive the season that you are in. And it does this because it's listening to the environment that you are in. Your thyroid is the victim and not the villain. It's the responder, the messenger. And once you understand that, you stop blaming your thyroid and you start looking deeper at the signal that it's receiving. Because your thyroid isn't the one writing the story. It's responding to the internal environment God designed it to listen to. And when that environment is overwhelmed or dysregulated, the thyroid simply reflects that. So let's talk about the system behind the thyroid, the one that sets the pace and sends the signal. So I want to talk about what I mean when I say your thyroid is the victim and not the culprit. Your thyroid does not act alone. It does not make executive decisions. It doesn't wake up one day and say, you know what? I think we're going to slow down. She's getting a little older. Like, your thyroid is not the boss. It's the employee. It waits for a signal from your brain. It waits for a signal from your adrenals. It waits for a signal from your nervous system. The thyroid is downstream from everything else that's going on in your body. So if it perceives stress, danger, inflammation, undereating, blood sugar swings, emotional overload, chronic urgency, overexercising, unresolved trauma patterns, the signal that gets sent to the thyroid is very simple. Slow down, conserve, protect. And your thyroid listens. It listens even when you don't want it to. It listens even when you're doing, quote unquote, everything right. It listens when you're frustrated and you're confused and you just want your body to respond. You just want your body back. But because your thyroid is obedient, it's trying to help you survive the environment your body believes that it's in. And the way it does that is by slowing things down. This is for your survival. Metabolism slows, digestion slows, energy production slows, fat burning slows, hair growth slows. Because the message coming in says, we don't feel safe right now. We don't have the resources. We need to conserve energy. So your thyroid is simply responding to the message your stress response is sending. And when you really understand that, when you understand that the thyroid isn't misbehaving and that it's protecting you, this really changes the whole conversation. Instead of trying to push or force or medicate the thyroid into working harder, you start asking a much more important question. Why does my body feel unsafe? What signal is my thyroid responding to? And that's where the healing can begin. Because something that's important to understand is that we can be under incredible amounts of stress and not see it as stress. Women are really, really good at this. We call it being busy. We call it being productive. We call it being dependable or strong or the one that keeps everything together. We call it normal. But your body doesn't call it normal.
system calls it a threat. Your adrenals call it overload. And your thyroid responds accordingly. It's not responding to your intentions or your willpower or how hard you're trying. It's responding to the environment that it believes you're living in. So when you finally see the connection between unseen stress and all the thyroid symptoms you've been fighting, you stop blaming the thyroid. And you can start supporting the systems that lead it. So let's talk about cortisol, the hormone that controls so much more than most people realize. Cortisol is not just a stress hormone. It's a signal. It's the body's internal thermostat for energy, for safety, and for survival. And it determines far more than mood or stress levels. It literally decides whether your body burns energy or stores it, whether T4 gets converted into the active T3, whether your body produces reverse T3, how much energy your body feels safe making, how well your digestion works, your inflammation levels, your sleep quality, your cravings, your mood, and your emotional resilience. Cortisol is the gatekeeper. It sets the pace for every system downstream, especially your thyroid. And here's the part that is so unfair. High cortisol blocks thyroid function. Low cortisol blocks thyroid function. Two very different experiences with the same result. We see this disrupted T4 to T3 conversion. We see increased reverse T3. We see fewer cells accepting the thyroid hormone, even if you're taking it in the form of medication. If your cells aren't accepting it, it doesn't matter. We see slowed metabolism, slowed digestion, slowed energy production. Both ends of the spectrum increase inflammation. Both ends leave you exhausted. Both ends make weight loss feel impossible. Both ends send the thyroid into conservation mode. So the issue isn't the thyroid, it's the environment the thyroid is trying to work inside. Your thyroid is not the one deciding to slow down. It's receiving a message from cortisol that says, we're overwhelmed, we're depleted, we're stressed. We need to conserve energy. And your thyroid obeys. It obeys that signal every time. This is why so many women, like my client, are put on thyroid medication and they still don't feel better. Because until the diurnal cortisol rhythm improves, until the body feels safe again, the thyroid can only do so much with the signal it's getting. And maybe the simplest way to picture this is like a workplace. Your thyroid is the hardest working employee in the building, showing up every day ready to support metabolism, energy, digestion, fat burning, hair growth. But cortisol is the manager standing at the door. And when the manager says, we don't have the resources today, we're overwhelmed, we need to shut things down for now, it doesn't matter how capable or motivated the employee is. The thyroid cannot override that call. So if cortisol is dysregulated, whether it be high or low, the thyroid can only do what it's being instructed to do. And that's why so many women take thyroid medication and they still don't feel better. Because you can support that employee all day long. But if the boss keeps turning the lights off, the whole system slows down. So you can have the best diet, you can take the right medication, you can follow the perfect supplement protocol, but none of that can override a dysregulated nervous system. Because the nervous system is the master regulator. It's constantly asking one question: are we safe enough to thrive? Or do we need to conserve? And if the answer is conserve, your thyroid will downshift every single time. Not because your thyroid is malfunctioning, but because your nervous system is sending a message of protection. And this is why thyroid symptoms so often show up alongside things that women assume are unrelated, like anxiety, irritability, feeling overwhelmed, waking at 2 to 3 in the morning, wired but tired at night, cold hands and feet, digestive changes, that kind of constant low grade tension in your body. So again, these aren't signs of a lazy thyroid. These are signs of a stressed system, a body that's been living in urgency, in depletion, in hypervigilance for too long. When the nervous system is dysregulated, it sends a very clear message downstream. Slow down, protect her. So digestion slows, metabolism slows, energy production slows, hormone conversion slows. And the hardest part about this is that we often don't realize our nervous system is dysregulated. Because the patterns that create the dysregulation, the rushing, the multitasking, the pressure, the people-pleasing, the running on empty, all of these things have become our normal. But your thyroid isn't responding to what you call normal. It's responding to what your nervous system perceives as stress. And until we address that signal, the thyroid will keep doing exactly what it was designed to do, to protect you by slowing down. So what does it actually look like when the thyroid is responding to stress rather than just simply failing on you? Here are some of the biggest clues your thyroid is reacting to a disrupted signal. Low free T3, even when TSH is normal. In fact, my client, there was actually a slight improvement in TSH, but free T3 had dropped even a tad lower. Okay, so it fits the bill here. High reverse T3, medication helping only a little bit or only temporarily, feeling better some days and worse on other days, cold hands and feet, midday energy crashes, hair shedding, the stubborn weight that will not move, mental fog or just, trouble concentrating, feeling puffy, feeling swollen, feeling inflamed. These are all symptoms that don't tell a story of a broken thyroid. They tell a story of a body that is trying to adapt to overwhelm. These say your body is protecting you. Your cortisol rhythm is disrupted. Your nervous system is carrying too much. The signal isn't clear. And until that upstream signal is addressed, the thyroid will keep showing up with the same set of symptoms. It's simply reflecting the problem. Your thyroid is speaking on behalf of your stress response. It's giving you information, it's communicating, it's waving a flag that says something higher up needs attention. And when you start seeing your thyroid this way as the messenger and not the malfunction, everything about your healing approach begins to shift. You don't heal the thyroid by forcing it to work harder, increasing your workouts. You don't heal it by piling on more medication or more supplements, hoping that something finally clicks. You heal the thyroid by supporting the systems that speak to the thyroid. Because if that signal is distorted, if the nervous system is overwhelmed, if the body doesn't feel safe, no amount of thyroid support will override that. So then what does supporting this signal actually look like? It looks like stabilizing blood sugar so that cortisol isn't constantly being pulled to the rescue. It looks like eating enough, especially protein and healthy fat, so that the body knows it has fuel. It looks like reducing undereating and over-restriction, which are two of the fastest ways to shut down active thyroid hormone. It looks like calming the nervous system so the body doesn't live in a constant state of urgency. We have to address inflammation. Inflammation blocks the conversion of T4 to T3, and it increases reverse T3. We need to focus on strategic strength training. It's so imperative that we don't overtrain because this will deplete the body further. We need to focus on our sleep rhythms. This will allow cortisol to regulate and repair. We need to eat earlier in the day within 1 to 2 hours of waking. This way we support circadian rhythm and metabolism. We need to focus on morning light exposure. Okay, this sets the neurological tone for the entire day. Right now, it's really dark in the morning until about 8 o'clock. So this time of year, I definitely wear my light therapy glasses, which I'll leave in the show notes for you again in case where you live, if it's still dark out when you wake in the morning, of course, it's hard to get light in the first 30 to 60 minutes of waking if we don't have any sun. We have to focus on mineral replenishment, especially sodium, magnesium, potassium. All of these are so often depleted in women with adrenal strain. I mean, we just pee them right out. None of these things force the thyroid. They support the systems that direct the thyroid. And here's the part that still amazes me, even after years of seeing this in practice. Once the thyroid receives a safe and clear signal, it has the opportunity to respond beautifully. And this is over time. Because it was never the problem. It was never the saboteur. It was never the thing holding you back. It was the messenger. The system quietly reflecting the stress, the depletion, the urgency that your body has been carrying. And when you create an environment of safety and nourishment and rhythm, the thyroid finally has permission to do what God designed it to do. And as an adjunct, because I love tools that support cellular health, targeted red light therapy can also be a helpful piece to the puzzle. Not a magic fix. Not something that overrides stress or replaces any of the deeper work. But it can be a supportive therapy that gives thyroid cells a little more of what they need. We see improved mitochondrial energy, reduced inflammation, better cellular repair, support for that T4 to T3 conversion, lower oxidative stress inside the gland. The thyroid is incredibly mitochondria dense. Specifically, near infrared light, NIR, can penetrate deeply enough to actually reach the gland and support how those cells function. And this is where the brand that you use matters. You want a reputable device that uses both the far infrared and near infrared wavelengths. Far really heats just the tissue. It's going to be great for your skin. It doesn't reach the thyroid like near infrared will. So again, this is not replacement for root cause work. It will not override a stress-driven signal, but it can support the thyroid as you restore safety, as you restore nourishment, and as you restore rhythm in your body. I personally use the LumiBox device and I love it. It has both far and near. You can use far by itself, near by itself, or a combination of the two. I like to use a combination of the two. I'll put my link in the show notes if you want to explore it. And there's a discount code, of course, attached to it as well. Once the thyroid receives a safe, clear signal, and once the cells have the energy to respond, it's amazing how quickly things begin to shift. Now, I also want to be clear about something, because this work is very nuanced, and I never want to oversimplify it. Recognizing that your thyroid is responding to stress doesn't mean the solution is easy or that it's instant. It takes being willing to first honestly look at your stress load, even though you have normalized it. It takes implementing the supportive rhythms that we've been talking about consistently, not perfectly, but consistently over time. And for some women, it does mean using medication appropriately during this healing process. There's no failure in that. Sometimes medication is a support while the nervous system and the adrenals and the metabolism are being rebuilt. Sometimes it's part of the bridge and not the destination. Sometimes medication is part of the destination. But sometimes it's one piece of a much bigger picture that still needs attention upstream. So the goal isn't to avoid medication at all costs. The goal is to understand why your body needs the support that it needs in the first place, and to work toward restoring the signal so that your body isn't constantly in protection mode. So your body is not working against you. It is responding exactly the way God designed it to. He built your physiology with wisdom, with systems that slow down when you're depleted, systems that conserve when you're overwhelmed, systems that speak up when something needs attention. Your thyroid isn't the weak link, it's the signal. And I think there's something really powerful about seeing it this way, because it reminds us that God didn't give us fragile bodies. No, He gave us responsive bodies, bodies that adjust, that communicate, that mirror what's happening internally long before we have the words for it. Healing, then, isn't about forcing a gland to behave. It's about honoring the way you were designed, creating rhythms that your body can trust, feeding it in a way that reflects care instead of punishment, letting stress come down enough for the nervous system to breathe again. And when those pieces are in place, when the environment matches the design, the thyroid can respond. And it's not because you pushed it harder. It's because your body finally feels safe enough to do what it was made to do. So if you're listening to this thinking, I wish I knew what my thyroid and adrenals are actually doing, I wish I had clarity instead of guessing, then please make sure you are on the wait list for the DNA Reset for Fat Loss Academy. This is where we look at your DNA, your stress pathways, your detox capacity, and a full comprehensive lab panel. So you can finally see the full picture of what is driving your symptoms. No more guessing, no more piecing things together from different appointments, no more blaming your thyroid when the real issue is the signal it's responding to. If you're ready for answers that go deeper than surface level labs, you can find the link in the show notes and add yourself to the wait list for the February 2026 cohort. And if you're listening to this after that, you can still add yourself to the wait list for the cohort that will come after that. Okay, my friend, that's where we're going to wrap this for today. I hope this helped you to see your thyroid through a different lens, one that brings more compassion, more understanding, and a lot more direction to your healing. Please take good care of yourself and enjoy time with friends and with family during this season. As for myself, I will be taking 2 intentional weeks off from the podcast to fully immerse myself in the Christmas season, just slowing down, being present with my family, spending some time in the kitchen making homemade tamales. And I'll be back after the start of the new year, rested and ready to dive back in with you.
That's it for today on the Nourish to Thrive podcast. If you found value here, I'd love for you to subscribe, leave a review, or send it to someone who's walking a similar path. Keep showing up, keep asking questions, and know that healing is possible, especially when you trust the one who designed your body to heal. Until next time, stay rooted in truth and nourished in grace.